Hey, Shalom Akim, giving all praises, honor, and glorification to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem Kudash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 28 and verse 8. It reads, "The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence." Okay, so the events that we're witnessing right now, okay, the prophets of the Lord, okay, starting with our apostles and elders declaring the downfall of, the Babylonian Empire, okay, the beast system, okay, the downfall of Esau's rulership is not a new thing, okay. This is not a new idea, okay. Yahweh Shai has always used prophets to declare the downfall of the empires that were in rulership, okay, such as he used Moses to declare the downfall of Egypt, okay. He had Isaiah, Jeremiah in the time of the Babylonians, and other prophets. Daniel was there too, as well as Habakkuk, okay. He had other prophets to declare the downfall of other empires, man, such as Jonah to declare the downfall of Nineveh, all right, and also declare the downfall of the Greeks and the Roman empires, all right. As it is written, the Lord says that he ruleth in the kingdom of men, okay, and set us up over it whomsoever he will. But he also sets up prophets to declare the downfall of these kingdoms. All right. If you go into the book of Ecclesiastes, it says that nothing is new under the sun. This is Ecclesiastes 1:9. The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. Is there anything thereof it may be said, see, this is new? It hath been already of old, which was before us, right? And Yahweh Shai declared the downfall of the Romans, man. Okay, what he say? I see Satan fall as a lightning, or as a. In fact, let me get that. Luke 10:18, and he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. So that's Yahweh Shai declaring the downfall of Esau, Edom. All right, it's gonna fall quickly and suddenly. Okay. All right. Once again, like we read in Jeremiah 28:8, that the prophets were declaring of evil, war, and of pestilence. Right. And what I want to go into is how there was some major events that happened in the 1300s, all right, namely the Great Famine of 1315, and also the Black Death, okay, the bubonic plague, all right, and these caused millions of people to die, okay, and let's read upon it, all right, because I just wanted to put things in perspective, because the scriptures tell you that the times that we're coming in is not going to be compared to any other time, all right? But, you look at these events, all right? It says that, hundreds of millions of people died, man, all right? So we're going to witness great evil, okay? And we need to ask Yahweh Shai to prepare us from the evil coming. All right, so let's read upon the. In fact, I wanted to start on the Black Death first. Okay. All right, This is the Black Death. We're gonna read on in Wikipedia. It says here, the Black Death, also known as the Pestilence, the Great Mortality, or simply the Plague. Right? So best believe in that time, okay, which, by the way, Israelites were ruling in Europe at that time. We were in rulership. We were sitting on the throne, all right, in the 1300s, all right. So I'm saying before it happened, you better believe that prophets were prophesying uh, of a pestilence coming, man. Okay, as you read, nothing is new under the sun. It's Yahweh Shem Yashai uses his prophets to declare the downfall of great kingdoms, and once again, Israelites had Europe on lock at that time. Okay, you know, you had the Moors, you had the Holy Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire, okay, which were Israelites ruling and sitting on the throne in Europe, okay, but um, were they following, you know, the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Shem Yahshua perfectly? No, they were not following. They were not following it. It wasn't that time, okay. All right, they were definitely going off, you know, seeking their own righteousness. For this cause, the Lord brought them down. The Lord caused ethnic cleansing, which, let's read upon it. It says, the Black Death was a bubonic plague pandemic occurring in Afro-Asia from 1346 to 1353. It is the most fatal pandemic recorded in human history, causing the death of 75 to 200 million people in Eurasia and North Africa. Right, so 75 million to 200 million died, perished. Okay, and most of them were Israelites. Okay, that's what you call an ethnic cleansing. Okay, and this is similar to what's gonna happen in this day and age, man. The Lord's gonna cause the great majority, mainly 2/3 of our people, to die, man. Okay, in America, 2/3 are gonna die. Okay, 2/3 of the Israelites in America are gonna perish. Okay, it says that once again, it says causing the death of 75 to 200 million people in Eurasia and North Africa, mainly Israelites, peaking in Europe from 1347 to 1351. Okay, and you know, this by the way caused caused us to fall under the Edomites. It helped these Edomites to get back into power. Okay, for the fact that we were weakened by this plague. Okay, so they came back into power in what they call the Renaissance. Okay, it says that that beast whose deadly wound was healed. Okay, so it was healed during the Renaissance. All right, these Edomites' wound was healed during the Renaissance. The Edomites being the so-called white people, they came back into power. Okay, and we fell under their subjection. All right. Let's read this paragraph. It says, the Black Death was the second great natural disaster to strike Europe during the late Middle Ages, the first one being the Great Famine of 1315 to 1317, and it is estimated to have killed 30% to 60% of the European population. You hear that? So 30 to 60% perished, vanished. Okay? They died, as well as about 1/3 of the population of the Middle East. The plague might have reduced the world population from 475 million to 350 to 375 million in the 14th century. Okay, so that's one evil event that happened in the 1300s, in the mid 1300s. Now let's read upon the Great Famine. All right, the Great Famine of 1315 to 1317, occasionally dated 1315 to 1322, was the first of a series of large-scale crises that struck Europe early in the 14th century. Most of Europe, extending east to Russia and south to Italy, was affected. The famine caused many deaths over an extended number of years and marked a clear end of the period of growth and prosperity from the 11th to the 13th century. So even that, the Great Famine weakened us Israelites during that time, because once again we were ruling over Europe, okay, and it allowed these devils to come back into power, man. All right. Now, who's responsible for famines and pestilences? Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Okay. Is it in vain? No. It's because of the evil of men that the Lord brings on these plagues. Okay. And best believe in that time, there are prophets that declared the intents of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, namely to bring war, evil, and pestilence. Okay. Let's read on. It says, the Great Famine started with bad weather in the spring 1315. Crop failures lasted through 1316 until the summer harvest in 1317, and Europe did not fully recover until 1322. Crop failures were not the only problem. Cattle disease caused sheep and cattle numbers to fall as much as 80%. All right, so not only was there no crops, but also there was no the animals were dying, man. Okay. It says the period was marked by extreme levels of crime, okay, disease, mass death, and even cannibalism and infanticide. Okay. Read that part again. The period was marked with extreme levels of crime, disease, mass death, and even cannibalism and infanticide. And that's what's about to come upon the world. Okay, as we read in Ecclesiastes 1:9, it says, the thing that hath been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. Okay, there's no new thing under the sun. The only thing new is that the Lord is going to intensify the pestilence. He's going to intensify the famine. He's going to mix it all together. Okay, that's what's going to make it even worse. And the fact that, in America, under the Babylonian system, people are living deliciously. Okay. They're living in excess. In French, we say gourmandise. People are not used to not have. Okay. Now let's read upon the bad weather that was mentioned in the earlier paragraphs. It says, in the spring of 1315, unusually heavy rain began in much of Europe. All right, so who was behind that? Yahweh Bashim Yahushai was just pouring out rain, just like he did. I was about to say like in the days of Noah, it was heavy rain, it was nonstop. Okay. But hey, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua just made it rain, man. Okay? Throughout the spring and the summer, it continued to rain. Alright? And the temperature remained cool. It says unusually heavy rain. So it just kept pouring and pouring and pouring. Alright? Under such conditions, grain could not ripen, leading to widespread crop failures. Grain was brought indoors in urns and pots to keep dry. The straw and hay for the animals could not be cured, so there was no fodder for the livestock. In England, lowlands in Yorkshire and Nottingham were flooded, while stew ponds on the River Frost in Yorkshire were washed away. So it wasn't allowed. The rain was not allowing the grains to grow. Okay. And let's not forget that the cattle were dying, man. like 80% of it. It says the price of food began to rise. Prices in England doubled between spring and midsummer, right? So just in a matter of months, this prices doubled. Salt, the only way to cure and preserve meat, was difficult to obtain because brine could not be effectively evaporated in wet weather. So that rain, and Yahweh Hashem Yahshua he's a tactician, okay? Everything is well calculated, man. That rain was not allowing um, the, the salt to be produced, man. For the water to produce salt, okay? It says its price increased from 30 to 40 shillings. In Lorraine, wheat prices rose by 320%, making bread unaffordable to peasants. Okay? And who's currently in the lowest position in society? Who's in the lowest class? Well, the Israelites, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American. Okay, they are in the worst classes. They are in the worst position economically right now in the U.S. Okay, it says stores of grain for long-term emergencies were limited to royalty, lords, nobles, wealthy merchants, and the church because of the general increased population pressures. Even lower than average harvest meant some people would go hungry. There was little margin for failure. People began to harvest wild edible roots, grasses, nuts, and bark in the forest. Okay, so they had to do with, it says with grasses, nuts, and bark in the forest, man, and edible roots. Okay, so that's what they were eating, man. Okay. All right. Let's jump to the next paragraph, but I'm gonna skip this first line. Jump to this one right here. It says in Bristol, the city's chronicles reported that 1315 there was a great famine of dearth, with such mortality that the living could scarce suffice to bury the dead. Okay, meaning there was dead all over, man. Dead people all over. Horse flesh that they couldn't bury. Horse flesh and dog's flesh was accounted good meat. Okay, which by the way they're unlawful. Okay, horse flesh, dog's flesh, unlawful. Okay, but people were eating it. It says it was accounted good meat, and some eat their own children. The thieves that were in prison did pluck and tear in pieces such as were newly put in prison and devoured them half alive. Alright, and that's what you call hell. Okay, that's what you call being in a hellacious situation, man, where you gotta resort to eat dogs and horse flesh and resort to cannibalism, man. All right, and what it says is, with such mortality that the living could scarce suffice to bury the dead. All right, now let's go to the book of Second Ezra 16. Second Ezra 16 and 23, it reads, and the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them, for the earth shall be wasted, and the cities shall be cast down. Okay? Alright, so the period that we're coming into is going to be worse than what we just read. It's going to be worse than the Black Death. It's going to be worse than the Great Famine. Okay, let's prove that in the book of Daniel, chapter 12 and 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people. Right, so It's going to be such a hellacious time for the world that the Lord is going to have to send forth his angel and his angels to protect his men, the elect of the nation of Israel. Okay? And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation even to that same time. All right? So the time of trouble that's coming is going to be worse. It's not going to be able to be compared to the events that we just read. Okay? The Great Famine of 1315, 1317, and the death, the Black Death that happened during the mid 1300s. Okay? And there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation even to that same time. And at that time that people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in a book. Alright, so we read the mortality of the Black Death, but let's read how many people died during the Great Famine. Oh wow! Hey, see, there's a lot more information. Um, so I want to see how many millions of people died. Which I believe is between 15 million to 20 million. I remember reading. Let's see. Let's Google it. Death toll. It says 1 million. Which I don't think that's correct. Well, I remember reading that 15 to 20 million people died, but hey, let's read on. It says, it says, the height of the famine was in 1317 as the wet weather continued. In that summer, the weather returned to normal patterns. By then, people who were so weakened by diseases such as pneumonia, bronchitis, and tuberculosis, and so much of the seed stock had been eaten that it was not until 1325 that the food supply returned to relatively normal levels and the population began to increase. Historians debate the toll, but it is estimated that 10 to 25% of the population of many cities and towns died. Though the Black Death would kill more people, it often swept through an area in a matter of months, whereas the Great Famine lingered for years, prolonging the suffering of the populace. Okay. Hey, but the fact is, it was hellacious time, man. Okay, and there's the time that we're approaching is going to be worse than that. And yeah, I just wanted to bring things into perspective. Once again, we're going to need Yahweh Shem Yahshua to deliver us in our time, and the Lord will deliver His elect. Okay, this is the book of Matthew, chapter 24, and verse 12. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. Verse 21. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. All right. Hey, so there's great evils coming, man. The Lord used His prophets to declare it, man. Okay. It's like in the days of old. We just read in Proverbs 28 and 8 that prophets declared of war, evil, and of pestilence. All right. So there's great pestilence is coming. Okay. There's a great famine coming. There's great evil, and we know that the third woe is on its way, man. All right. So hey, the words of the Lord are not vain. Okay. They will not return unto Him void, but they shall accomplish that which He pleases Him. All right. So hey, yeah, I just wanted to touch on that. Lord willing, it was edifying. We want to give all praises, honor, and glorification to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Hakudash, double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone, who rule well and teach well, and shalom to the elect.